Welcome back. Breaking developments are unfolding in the ongoing legal battle over tariffs imposed during the administration of Donald Trump. A senior judge from the United States Court of International Trade has issued a major order requiring the federal government to begin refunding certain tariffs that were previously ruled unlawful. These tariffs were originally imposed under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, often called IEPA. Earlier this year, the Supreme Court of the United States determined that those tariffs could not legally be applied in the way they had been. But the Supreme Court did not provide instructions on how refunds should be handled. Now, a federal judge has stepped in to fill that gap. Brief overview. Here's what's happening. The Court of International Trade has ordered U.S. Customs and Border Protection to immediately begin processing tariff refunds for importers affected by the ruling. The decision came after government officials admitted they had not yet started issuing refunds, despite the Supreme Court's decision striking down the tariffs. At the same time, a new legal challenge has emerged. Attorneys general from 20 U.S. states have filed a lawsuit seeking to block a new attempt to reimpose tariffs under a different law. So there are now two major legal battles unfolding at the same time. Refunds for the tariffs that were already declared illegal. A new lawsuit attempting to stop another round of tariffs. Let's walk through how this situation developed. Segment 1. How the refund fight started. The legal process began with a lawsuit filed by a company called Atmos Filtration Technologies. The company had paid tariffs on imported goods under the Emergency Powers Law. After the Supreme Court ruled that those tariffs were unlawful, the company sought a refund. Their argument was simple. If the tariffs were illegal, the money collected under them should be returned. But when the company contacted U.S. Customs and Border Protection, they were told something surprising. Officials said they had received no instructions to issue refunds. That response quickly drew the attention of the judge handling the case. Segment 2. Judge Eaton investigates. The case landed before Richard Eaton, a senior judge on the Court of International Trade in New York. Instead of waiting for another lawsuit or appeal, the judge demanded answers directly from government officials. He issued a set of questions to Customs and Border Protection. Among the most important questions, how much money had been collected under the tariffs? Were refunds already being processed? Had federal officers been instructed to stop collecting those duties? The answers revealed a striking situation. According to a declaration from a senior trade official inside Customs and Border Protection, refunds had not yet been issued even after the Supreme Court decision. Segment 3. The numbers behind the tariffs. The government's response included detailed financial figures. Officials reported that tariff collections related to the disputed policy had increased significantly after the policy was implemented. Before the tariffs were applied, the amount collected from certain imports was roughly $40 million. After the policy was enacted, that figure rose to more than $71 million. That meant tens of millions of dollars had potentially been collected under a policy that was later declared unlawful. And yet, despite the Supreme Court ruling, the government confirmed that refunds had not yet begun. This admission played a major role in the judge's next move. Segment 4. The court issues a direct order. In response, Judge Eaton issued a formal order directing Customs and Border Protection to begin processing refunds immediately. The judge explained that the Supreme Court's ruling meant affected importers were entitled to relief. He also clarified that the court had jurisdiction over the issue. In fact, the chief judge of the Court of International Trade assigned Judge Eaton to oversee all related cases involving the tariff refunds. That means his court will effectively manage the refund process moving forward. The order requires the government to stop applying the disputed tariffs and to recalculate import entries without those charges. In simple terms, if a shipment is still being processed and the tariff was applied, the government must now remove that charge. Segment 5. What happens? If the money was already paid, the situation becomes more complicated for tariffs that were already fully collected and finalized. In those cases, refunds are not automatic. Importers who already paid the duties may need to file additional legal claims to recover their money. That means more lawsuits could follow. But for shipments that are still in the processing stage, the judge's order allows refunds to begin immediately. This creates a partial solution for now, while broader refund disputes may continue through the courts. Segment 6. The consumer question. Another important issue remains unresolved. Even if companies receive refunds, that doesn't necessarily mean consumers will benefit. When tariffs were imposed, many importers passed the cost along through higher prices. Now that refunds are possible, companies could theoretically keep the money rather than lowering prices. Some legal experts believe this could trigger class action lawsuits. Consumers may argue that if tariffs increased prices and companies later receive refunds, those refunds should be shared with the public. That question may ultimately be decided in future court cases. Segment 7. A new tariff lawsuit emerges. At the same time this refund dispute is unfolding, another legal battle has begun. Attorneys general from 20 states have filed a lawsuit challenging a new attempt to impose tariffs using Section 122 of the Trade Act. The states argue that the administration cannot simply use a different law to recreate the same policy the Supreme Court already rejected. If that lawsuit succeeds, it could block another round of tariffs before they even take effect. Closing thoughts. So at this moment, the legal landscape around tariffs is rapidly evolving. A federal court has ordered the government to begin processing refunds tied to tariffs declared illegal by the Supreme Court. At the same time, multiple states are trying to prevent new tariffs from being imposed under a different legal authority. The financial stakes are significant. Millions of dollars, potentially far more, could ultimately be returned to businesses that paid these tariffs. And depending on how future lawsuits unfold, some of that money might eventually reach consumers as well. For now, the next steps will play out in federal courts as judges determine exactly how those refunds should be handled.